Millionaire's secret. Pregnant wife confronts mistress at midnight. Shocking truth revealed. The clock struck midnight. Secrets hung thick in the air like the heavy scent of rain-soaked earth. Just outside a towering mansion, a sleek black car pulled swiftly to the curb. Inside, Jenna, a striking woman with wild eyes, felt a surge of adrenaline. Her heart pounded as she stepped out onto the slick pavement. She was 8 months pregnant, and the weight in her belly mirrored the burden of distrust piling up in her mind. The rumors had spiraled out of control, whispers of her husband's affair with a younger woman igniting her curiosity and fury. Turning towards the door, Jenna's breath caught in her throat. It wasn't just any night. It was the night she'd confront the other woman, Melissa. She had the perfect plan bursting onto the scene, catching the mistress off guard, revealing her to be just some naive girl who never knew the world of betrayal. But beneath her bravado, shards of doubt pricked at her confidence. What if Melissa was more than just an enemy? What if she had something Jenna lacked? Inside the lavish home, shadows flickered against the expensive wallpaper, like ghosts dancing on framed memories. Jenna hesitated. Was she ready to face the truth, even if it shattered her world? Every step felt heavier as she advanced deeper into her husband's domain. Laughter floated through the hallway, cruel and mocking. It cut through her resolve, spiraling into a tightness in her chest. It was not just laughter. It was a soundtrack of her greatest fears coming true. Then came a sudden silence, immediately shattering the air. The laughter stopped. It was as if the universe held its breath. Jenna felt a tremor run through her body, a mix of dread and anticipation. She turned sharply at the echoes of footsteps approaching. The moment was closing in. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Her heart raced again as she pushed the door open, the hinges creaking ominously like a prelude to disaster. Inside the dimly lit room, she could see her husband, Daniel, with Melissa, laughter fresh on their lips. Then their eyes met hers. Shock washed over their faces, his pale, hers wide with horror. Jenna's breath quickened, a lump forming in her throat. What would she discover? What shocking truth lay buried beneath this midnight rendezvous? Jenna stood frozen, her mind racing. The laughter that had filled the space moments before now felt like a distant echo, replaced by a silence so heavy it squeezed the air from her lungs. She could feel her heart thudding against her ribcage, each beat echoing the overwhelming disbelief crashing over her. Jenna. Daniel's voice broke the stillness, trembling like a delicate leaf in the wind. He looked at her, eyes wide with shock and a flicker of fear. It was then she noticed that Melissa, still seated, shifted nervously, her petite figure visibly tense, as if she were ready to bolt from the room, words stuck in Jenna's throat. She had rehearsed this moment 100 times, envisioned a powerful confrontation, yet now all she felt was a dizzying rush of confusion and hurt. This was not how it was supposed to go. Is this what you wanted? This is your idea of a midnight rendezvous? This is betrayal. Her voice cracked, tinged with anguish. Jenna, please. It's not what it looks like. Daniel implored, rising from his seat as though to approach her. He extended a hand, but she flinched, stepping back, her instincts screaming at her to protect herself and the life growing inside. Melissa's gaze shifted between the two, a mix of fear and guilt swimming behind her emerald eyes. I didn't know. I swear. I thought he was single. Her voice was frantic, but Jenna could hear the tremor of truth tangled within the words. It punched through the fog of her anger. Stop. Jenna snapped, her voice a harsh whisper. Stop lying. You might have been the secret, but I'm the one who's been kept in the dark all this time. Daniel glanced at Melissa, panic surfacing as he realized how deep the hole was. Jenna, listen, I didn't mean for you to find out like this. I always wanted to tell you. Tell me? Jenna's voice was sharper now, slicing through the emotional tumult. Tell me after the baby arrived? After I trusted you completely? She rubbed her belly protectively, feeling the flutter of movement inside as if her child was sensing her distress. The atmosphere thickened with tension. How long? How long have you been lying to me? Daniel's face contorted in guilt, and he looked down, unable to meet her gaze. A few months. Months. Jenna felt the blood rush to her head. You let me carry this child alone, while you played house with her. Jenna, I love you. Please, I'll fix this. Just give me a chance. I don't want to hear it. She felt a wave of nausea wash over her. How could he stand there, spewing empty words while her world shattered? The pain in her chest was unbearable, the betrayal seeping deeper than she ever thought possible. Then, as her heart raced with fury and sorrow, she noticed Melissa flinch again, her eyes darting toward something behind Jenna. The door. Someone had just come in. Jenna turned, her breath hitching in her throat. A silhouette stood in the shadows framed by the doorway. Who had entered at this critical moment? A friend? A family member? Or perhaps something worse, an ally for one of them? Who are you? Jenna demanded, her voice a mixture of fear and defiance, bracing herself for whatever was to come next. The figure stepped forward into the light, revealing a familiar face, and shocking truths began to unravel. What connections would emerge from the shadows? A hidden conspiracy? A single look could change everything. Jenna squinted, her pulse racing as the figure stepped fully into the light. It was Rachel, her older sister, who had disappeared from their lives a year ago after moving to the city. The same sister whose absence felt like an open wound, suddenly stitched together by the weight of this moment. Rachel. Jenna breathed, disbelief slicing through the tension in the room. Jenna. Rachel's voice was cautious, urgent, as if she were walking through a minefield. Her warm brown eyes darted between Jenna and Daniel, searching for clarity in a chaotic scene. Daniel appeared just as shocked, glancing back and forth as if desperately trying to piece together this unexpected puzzle. What are you doing here? He managed to croak, hope tainted with uncertainty. Rachel stepped forward, shoulders squared. I came to speak to you, Jenna. I didn't know it would be like this. Each word dripped with gravity, causing Jenna's heart to sink and rise in a dizzying cycle. Speak to me about what? Jenna felt her anger reignite. About him? About what you both might be hiding? The gears in her mind began to turn, the possibility that Rachel could hold some hidden truth prompting a wave of protective instinct. Not like that. Rachel shot back, her tone sharp but filled with concern. I don't know what he told you, but I've been worried sick about you. There's something you need to understand. What could you possibly know? Jenna snapped, her temper boiling. The room was thick with unspoken words, the air electrified with what might come next. Rachel took a deep breath, steeling herself like a warrior ready for battle. You deserve the truth, Jenna. Daniel wasn't just cheating. There are things you haven't been told, things you need to know about Melissa. And about your baby. The mere mention of her child sent a jolt through Jenna, a primal instinct overridden by her desire for answers. What are you talking about? Please just listen. Rachel pressed, urgency splintering her voice. I came back because of a tip. Someone from the organization told me that Daniel was involved in something dangerous, something that could hurt you and the baby. Jenna's breath hitched. What do you mean? What kind of danger? A flicker of hesitation crossed Rachel's face. I don't know everything yet, but I found out that Daniel has debts, big debts, and there are people looking for him. People who don't take kindly to betrayal. Daniel's face drained of color, and panic coursed through him. That is not true. What are you saying, Rachel? I never put her in danger. His plea hung in the air, drowned by Jenna's rising fury. You think I want to believe this? Jenna shot back, the tears now blending with her rage. After everything? I thought I could trust you. She turned back to Rachel, tossing chaos across the room. What else are you hiding? Before Rachel could answer, a loud crash echoed from outside. The sound reverberated like a gunshot, shattering their fragile bubble of confrontation. Jenna's heart raced anew. What was that? I don't know. Rachel's voice trembled. But we need to get out of here. Now. Jenna glanced back at Daniel, feeling the weight of betrayal pressing down like a leaden cloak. But she felt the primal urge to protect rising in her, both for herself and the life she carried. Where do we go? Jenna asked, feeling the storm of emotions swirl within. Follow me. Rachel urged, her voice a lifeline amidst the chaos. As they burst through the door, uncertainty and fear clutched at Jenna's throat. Could her sister be trusted? Or was this just another layer of the web they had tangled themselves in? And as they fled into the unknown, another thought struck her, an echo of countless whispers saying, "What if the one you thought was the enemy is actually your only ally?" The figures in the darkness loomed closer. What awaited them outside? New adversaries? Or perhaps something even more treacherous? The night air whipped around them as Jenna, Rachel and Daniel sprinted into the shadows. Jenna's heart thudded in her chest like a wild drum. She tried to stay close to Rachel, but fear twisted her gut. "What is happening?" she demanded, barely able to keep up as Rachel guided them down an alley lined with crumbling brick. "I'll explain everything," Rachel called over her shoulder, urgency flooding her voice. "Just keep moving." They skidded to a halt when they reached a dimly lit street. Jenna glanced back, and for a split second, she thought she saw shapes shifting in the gloom, but the fog swallowed them whole. Daniel's face was a mix of fear and confusion, his breath coming in short bursts. "Rachel, you need to start talking," Jenna insisted. "Who are these people? What did you find out?" Rachel hesitated, her eyes darting nervously. "It's complicated, Jenna. Daniel's involved with people you don't want to mess with. Trust me on this." Jenna's mind raced. Was the man she loved truly risking everything? "You can't just drop a bomb and expect me to trust you both." The hurt bubbled to the surface, threatening to overflow. "Look, I know you're upset," Daniel began, stepping forward. "Shut up," Jenna shot at him. "You don't get to talk right now." Rachel held her hands up, stopping the fight cold. "Please, Jenna. You have to listen to me. These people don't just want money. They want revenge. They think Daniel has crossed them." Daniel's eyes widened, a flash of panic flickering across his face. "I didn't mean to." Jenna cut him off. "What does that even mean? What did you do?" The tension felt tangible, squeezing the air from her lungs. In a flash, she was done with both of them, caught between the past she thought she knew and the impending threat looming ahead. "Your baby, they know about your baby," Rachel continued, her tone softening. "That's why I came back. You're in danger because of him." Jenna felt her chest tighten at the thought. The mere idea of her child being caught in this web of lies made her dizzy. Danger? From what? From whom? From a man named Victor. "He is ruthless, and believe me, he does not play games," Rachel replied, her voice trembling. "If he thinks Daniel owes him, he'll come after you. He wants what he has owed." Daniel staggered back, shock coloring his features. "I never thought it would come to this." "Then you should have thought twice," Jenna yelled, her fury flaring once more. "You're a coward." "I knew there was something wrong. But this is beyond." Before she could finish, a voice thundered from the darkness. "Daniel!" "Jenna!" It was powerful and menacing, echoing through the alley like a prophecy of doom. Jenna's heart stopped. Rachel took a step back, eyes wide, fear lighting up every feature of her face. "We have to go." But panic rooted Jenna to the spot. She could feel the shadows creeping closer, could hear the hard footsteps approaching, relentless like a storm. "Stay calm. Stay together." Rachel's voice cut through the chaos. They needed a plan, but each second felt like falling deeper into a dark abyss. Shadows lurked on the edges of her vision, and the dread began to seep into her bones. "Where?" Jenna's voice quavered, panic burning in her throat. Daniel stared at Rachel, pleading for answers she seemed hesitant to provide. Rachel's eyes darted to the right. "There's an old warehouse down the street. It might be our only chance." As they dashed towards safety, fear echoed through Jenna's veins. Each step felt heavier, like carrying the weight of the world, punctuated by the reality of betrayal and danger. What waited for them inside the warehouse? Would they find sanctuary or plunge deeper into chaos? And could Jenna truly trust Rachel, the sister who had just returned with everything on the line? The chase was starting, and the hunter was closing in. As they raced down the asphalt, the fear clawed at Jenna. The warehouse loomed ahead, its silhouette jagged against the dim glow of streetlights that felt far too weak to offer any real comfort. The echoing footsteps behind them grew louder, each thud hammering home the urgency of their situation. Daniel's face was a mask of panic, while Rachel's expression vacillated between fear and determination. Just keep moving. Rachel urged again, her grip tightening on Jenna's arm as they hurtled toward the heavy door of the warehouse. The metal groaned as they pushed against it, a chilling sound that reverberated through Jenna's bones. Panting, they stumbled inside, the stench of damp wood and rusted metal hitting them like a wall. Shadows danced around them, deep and foreboding. Jenna pressed her back against the door, heart racing, listening for any signs of pursuit. It felt like an eternity, but there was only silence for a moment, broken only by the sound of their own ragged breaths. "Are we safe?" Daniel whispered, voice trembling as he peered through a crack in the door. Rachel shook her head, glancing around. "We can't stay here long." "Victor, stop," she said, her voice laced with urgency. "We need a plan." "What plan?" Jenna snapped, anger and fear swirling inside her. "What could we possibly do?" Rachel hesitated, looking between them. "We have to confront Victor. Show him we're not afraid. But first we need information." About what exactly he wants from Daniel. A chill shot through Jenna. Confronting Victor felt like stepping into a lion's den. "You think it's that simple?" She scoffed. "Yes, not just some guy. He is dangerous." "I know that," Rachel interjected, her eyes blazing. "But doing nothing is a death sentence. We have to move or he'll get to us first. There's way more at stake here than just you and Daniel." With the weight of Rachel's words hanging in the air, Jenna felt a wave of dread wash over her. A flash of the impending threat danced in her mind, her baby, caught in the crossfire of secrets and deceit. Okay, she stammered, taking a deep breath. "What's next?" Rachel scanned the warehouse. "There has to be a back room or an office. We need to search for any documents. Anything that can give us leverage." Daniel nodded, his fear morphing into a flicker of resolve. "Let us check over there." He gestured toward a dark corner, shadows heavy like thick smoke. As they moved cautiously, Jenna's heart raced. Part of her wanted to run back into the night, back to safety. But the other part, the fierce mother emerging in her, knew there was no turning back now. If Victor intended to harm them, running would only delay the chaos. They pushed deeper into the gloom, stepping over crates and debris. The air was cold and thick with dust, creating an eerie atmosphere where every squeak and creak sounded magnified. Jenna strained her ears, half listening for anything in the darkness, half hoping not to hear anything at all, and just as they turned the corner, a loud crash erupted from the far side of the warehouse, startling them. Jenna's breath caught in her throat, and panic set in. "What was that?" Daniel whispered, eyes wide with fear. Rachel's face was pale, lips pressed into a grim line. "It's him. He's here." As shadows shifted and the sound of footsteps echoed again, something stirred in the air like a warning. Jenna felt the walls closing in, the fear constricting her chest until she could hardly breathe. A sudden clatter from behind startled them all, and Jenna turned to see a figure emerge, a silhouette bathed in darkness. Her heart plummeted. "Looks like we've found our guests," a cold voice taunted, sending chills curling down her spine. And that moment, Jenna realized that searching for answers might just lead to her deepest nightmares. And the hunt was far from over. What had they unleashed in their pursuit of the truth? The figure stepped forward, a slender outline against the darkness that pressed in like a heavy fog. Jenna's breath hitched in her throat as she tried to make out features she already dreaded seeing. "Victor," Rachel whispered, her voice barely a murmur. "Did you think you could just run away?" His voice dripped with mockery, bouncing off the rusted beams and echoing in the hollow space. The calmness in his tone only intensified Jenna's fear. She could see his smile creeping, a predator relishing the moment before the kill. "Stay back," Jenna warned, her own voice trembling despite her efforts to sound strong. She felt her heartbeat quickening again, the baby inside her moving as if sensing the danger. This was her moment to be a mother, to protect her own, but every instinct screamed for her to flee. "Oh, I don't think so," Victor shot back, stepping into a flickering patch of light from a nearby dim bulb. His slicked back hair and perfectly tailored jacket made it clear he had not come to play. This was a game to him and he was winning. Daniel moved instinctively in front of Jenna, half protective, half defiant. "What do you want from us?" he demanded, though there was a tremor in his voice that betrayed his courage. Victor laughed, a sound that echoed with malice. "What I want is simple truth and loyalty. You two were the ones who broke the rules." "What rules?" Jenna shot back, feeling the need to confront the insanity safely tucked away in Victor's perverse logic. You're the one who's been manipulating everything. You're a monster. Victor's smile faltered for a brief moment, replaced by a cold, calculating glare. You shouldn't have said that, he responded, his tone shifting dangerously low. Suddenly, the tension thickened in the air, and sniffing a faint hint of danger, Rachel shifted slightly. We don't need to play this game, she said, trying to gain some control. What do you want? Let us be rational about this. We can find a way forward. But Victor merely tilted his head, considering Rachel's words. Rational? How quaint. This isn't about rationality. It's about power. Just then, a crash echoed from the storage area behind him. The entrance slammed shut with a resounding boom, trapping them inside. The sound rattled Jenna to her core, and she felt the hairs on her arms raise as panic set in. What just happened? Daniel whispered, his eyes darting to Jenna, then back to Victor. Just some insurance. Don't worry. You're not going anywhere, Victor replied with a smirk. Jenna's pulse thrummed in her ears as she tried to gauge their options. They had to find a way out. We need to look for an alternative escape route, she whispered urgently to Daniel and Rachel, who both nodded. Victor, maybe we can work something out, Rachel started, her voice steady despite the fear flashing in her eyes. Work something out? He laughed again, this time with lethal amusement. His glinting eyes showed he was enjoying this far too much. Oh, I do love a good negotiation. But the stakes may just be higher than you think. Dread washed over Jenna. What did he mean? Before she could ponder that question, the ominous creak of the warehouse settling sent her heart racing again. Sweat dripped down her back, and she felt time slowing as if the world was folding in around them. Suddenly, she spotted a flicker of movement behind Victor. Someone else was in the shadows, lurking, waiting. Jenna's stomach dropped. Was this part of Victor's plan? Or had they unwittingly stumbled into something far worse? Victor, there's something behind you, she shouted impulsively, her voice breaking through the dread. He turned just as the shadows shifted, the figures merging into view, more than one, advancing rapidly. James just whispered. What now? As fear fully gripped Jenna, she realized the walls of this warehouse weren't the only barriers closing in on them. What dark truth was about to unravel before them? The figures emerged from the heavy shadows like phantoms, their intentions cloaked in uncertainty. Jenna's heart thundered, each pulse radiating fear and urgency through her veins. Victor! Who are they? Rachel gasped, her wide eyes darting between the advancing figures and Victor, who still wore that insufferable grin. Victor cast a sidelong glance at the approaching silhouettes, his confidence unshaken. Just a couple of friends to help me explain why you shouldn't play games with me, he said, his voice silky and casual, as if they were discussing the weather rather than a life-and-death situation. Jenna's breath caught in her throat as two men broke free from the shadows, their faces hidden beneath the dim light. Both were built solid and tall, an imposing presence that sent an icy chill through her. She instinctively clutched Daniel's arm, their silent communication clear. This was turning into something she had never anticipated. Don't let them get too close, Daniel whispered, his voice low but edged with panic. Where are the exits? Jenna whispered back, her eyes racing against the looming danger. She felt trapped, the air thickening around her, suffocating her ability to think clearly. As if sensing her thoughts, Victor chuckled darkly. You won't find an escape tonight. This warehouse is sealed tighter than you could imagine. His confidence felt like a rope tightening around her throat. The two men slowly moved closer, and Jenna could see the glint of something metallic in the dim light. Knives? Her stomach churned. What do you want with us? She cried out, trying to keep her voice steady. Just tell us. We can talk this out. Victor waved his hand dismissively. Talk is cheap, my dear. You're not in charge here. You're about to learn the consequences of your betrayal. As the men closed in, Rachel suddenly shouted, You're making a mistake. We never intended to hurt you. Oh, but you already have, Victor shot back, his expression morphing into something almost feral. The atmosphere crackled with tension, and Jenna felt the air grow heavy with impending violence. In a desperate bid, Jenna looked around the vast open space, searching for anything that could help them. An old toolbox caught her eye. It was lying open, tools scattered like the chaotic thoughts racing through her mind. It was a slim chance, but she had to act. Without thinking, she turned to Daniel. "Distract them," she whispered, and before he could protest, she bolted toward the toolbox, her heart pounding fiercely against her ribcage. "What are you doing?" he hissed, panic in his voice. "Trust me," she shouted back. Victor noticed Jenna's sudden movement, his smile fading as he shouted, "Get her." The two men lunged forward just as she reached the toolbox. She grabbed a heavy wrench, its weight comforting in her hand even as her mind screamed with doubt. With adrenaline surging, Jenna turned to face them. "Stop. I'll use this. I swear I will," she shouted, her voice cutting through the thick air like glass. Laughter erupted from Victor. "You think you can scare me? Pathetic." Jenna's hands shook, but she tightened her grip. "I'm not afraid of you." The men hesitated, and in that moment, Rachel and Daniel moved to flank her, bolstered by her unexpected bravery. "We won, back down, Victor," Rachel shouted as an eerie silence enveloped them, and Jenna realized that everyone was holding their breath, waiting for the next move. She could feel the tension coiling tighter, ready to snap. Then, a shocking voice echoed from the shadows behind them, a voice that sent a shiver up Jenna's spine. "Enough, Victor." Everyone turned, including Victor, as a familiar figure stepped forward from the darkness. "Daniel? Jenna?" It was Melissa, her face twisted in an unsettling mixture of regret and determination. "What are you doing here?" Jenna gasped. But before Melissa could respond, the warehouse trembled, rumbling ominously like the calm before a storm. "Victor, you might want to rethink your options," she warned, glancing urgently toward the exit. Jenna's heart raced with confusion. Was Melissa friend or foe? What was about to unravel in the depths of this warehouse? The truth was more tangled than she ever imagined. What was the consequence that tied them all together in this twisted game of power? The tension in the warehouse skyrocketed with Melissa's arrival. Jenna's heart raced, her mind a chaotic whirlwind. Melissa's eyes darted to Victor, a silent plea for peace lingering between them. It was as if the entire room had been thrust into a suffocating silence. "Wait, Melissa," Jenna cried, stepping forward with her wrench raised, but doubt flickered within her. "Are you with him?" Melissa's gaze shifted back and forth, linking Jenna and Daniel with a steely resolve. "No," she said firmly. "I'm not with him. You need to listen to me." Victor let out a low chuckle, his face contorted with amusement. "Oh, how touching. You think you can save them?" He pointed at Jenna and Daniel, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Funny how loyalty can lead to such a swift death sentence. Fear rippled through Jenna, but she forced herself to hold her ground. "What do you mean?" Melissa took a deep breath and stepped fully into the light, revealing the marks of sleepless nights and worry etched on her face. "Victor isn't what he seems. We're tied together in a way you can't comprehend. I was trying to protect you, but now..." Her voice trailed off, and the weight of her regret hung heavy in the air. "Protect us?" Daniel scoffed. "By dragging us into this nightmare?" "Listen," Melissa snapped, urgency mounting in her words. "Victor is going to kill you, but you can't let him win. There is something more going on here. Something that could turn the tide." Victor's expression shifted from amusement to seriousness, his eyes narrowing. "You really believe you can stir rebellion, Melissa? It's adorable." His men shifted, the air thickening again with a sense of impending conflict. Jenna felt the warmth of adrenaline coursing through her, battling the cold grip of fear that tinged her fingertips. "Tell me, what do we need to do?" She couldn't let this be the end, not when she still had fight left in her. Melissa hesitated, her gaze lingering on Jenna, searching for trust. "The past months they've involved far more than you understand. I was a pawn just like you." She gestured at the men, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Victor's plans extend beyond this moment. He needs you to complete his game, and if you're out of the picture? What are you saying?" Rachel interjected, panic rising in her tone. "His endgame isn't to kill you here tonight. It's to strip you of choices, to use you as leverage. You need to break the cycle before it's too late." The reality hit Jenna like a swift punch to the gut. How intertwined were they in this game? Seconds stretched into lifetimes as she considered Victor's motives, her mind racing to keep up with the revelations peeling back layers she thought were solid. "Stop!" Victor's voice sliced through the chaos, sharp and commanding. Enough of this nonsense. He raised a hand, and in an instant, the two men closed in, knives glinting in the dim light. Jenna's breath caught again. She could feel the world tilting on its axis, and for a split second everything slowed. Time seemed to elongate, her heart pounding wildly, echoing in her ears like a war drum. They were so close she looked at Daniel, a silent rallying cry sparking between them. Then it happened. The floor shook once more, reverberating through their bodies. Melissa's eyes widened, fear mingling with something else that lit a flame inside Jenna. "Leave now," Melissa shouted, urgency piercing through the tension. "Follow my lead and you'll have a chance." With that, she pushed past Victor's men, making a beeline for a set of double doors on the far side. Jenna's instincts screamed for action. "This way!" She yelled at Daniel and Rachel, launching herself toward Melissa. But before they could reach her, Victor's furious shout rang through the air. "Stop them!" Time snapped back into focus as chaos erupted. Were they diving deeper into danger? Or was this their slim chance at survival? The warehouse felt like a living entity, vibrating with their fear, urgency, and the hope of escape. Jenna's heart raced as they darted toward Melissa, not yet knowing what awaited beyond those doors. Could they trust her? And what secrets loomed in the darkness? The moment Jenna and Daniel pushed against the cacophony of chaos, the metallic clang of heels clashed heavily against the concrete floor. The double doors stood before them like a portal to salvation. Melissa was almost there, her silhouette flickering under the dim overhead lights. "Come on," Jenna shouted, adrenaline surging as she reached for Daniel's hand, pulling him forward. They dove into the fray, trying to navigate through Victor's henchmen. The glint of steel from the knives was alarming, and Jenna felt a cold sweat trickle down her back. Victor roared, charging toward them, his face contorted with rage. "I said stop," he bellowed, but the urgency in Melissa's voice pushed them onward. With one decisive kick, Jenna crashed into the doors, flinging them open just in time for Melissa to dart inside. She felt a tug at her heart, the hope that maybe, just maybe, they would escape this nightmare. But the world outside was shrouded in uncertainty. It was dark, the faint light barely illuminating a narrow alley littered with debris. The air felt electric, buzzing with their heartbeat and a throat-clenching terror that hung above them. "Are we safe?" Rachel panted, glancing behind her as if the shadows might spring to life. She looked wild, her eyes darting around for threats. "Nowhere is safe until we figure out what's happening," Melissa said, her breath still heavy but her eyes sharp and resolute. "He's playing a game that could ruin us all." "What the hell do you mean?" Daniel's voice wavered, a mixture of anger and fear infusing his tone. "You brought us into this." "No," Melissa shot back, desperation cracking her voice. "I didn't know it wasn't supposed to end this way. But we must act fast before he retrieves control." Before they could grasp the weight of her words, the ground trembled again. A low rumble that shook the walls and sent Jenna's stomach lurching. "What now?" Jenna shouted, panic rising. "I don't know." Melissa's face paled, but a realization sparked in her eyes. Victor must be falling back on contingencies. He wouldn't risk losing us. We need to regroup, find answers before he makes his next move. Rachel shook her head in disbelief. "Regroup? We're running for our lives. They know where we are now." "That's exactly why we can't stop," Melissa replied urgently. "We need to clean up the mess he has made. I have information but I can't share it here." Daniel's anxiety bubbled to the surface. "You're putting us in jeopardy again." "Why should we trust you?" "Because I know the truth." Melissa shot back, her voice firm. "It's bigger than any of us. And if we don't come together, if we let fear dictate our moves, it will cost lives." The reality of her words slammed down on them. Trust was a fragile thread, and they were walking a razor's edge. Suddenly, footsteps echoed down the alley, sharp and steady. Jenna's breath hitched. Was it Victor? Had he tracked them? "I hear them," Rachel whispered, fear pooling in her voice. "Hide," Melissa commanded, urgently searching for a place to conceal themselves. They stumbled behind a dumpster, Jenna's heart racing. Peeking through the gap, she squinted into the darkness. 3 figures stepped into the alleyway, their forms illuminated by a flickering street lamp. "Where did they go?" One grunted, scanning the area with a menacing glint in his eye. "We'll find them." They can't have gone far, another replied, a cruel smirk flickering across his face. Jenna's throat dried up. What do we do? She whispered to Melissa, her fingers trembling against the cold metal of the dumpster. Melissa's eyes glimmered with a fierce determination, and for the first time Jenna saw the fight. We take them by surprise. This isn't just about escaping anymore. It's about taking control back. Jenna felt the pulse of adrenaline jumpstart her nerves. But was it a reckless choice? Did they have any chance of winning? The alley felt like a trap closing in on them, but the choice was clear. They could either run and hide or stand and fight. And for the first time, Jenna knew they would have to face the reckoning head-on. What happens if we fail? Rachel quaked, her confidence waning. Melissa straightened her back. Then we make sure our failure sparks the fire rather than extinguishing it. As the men crept closer, the world fell mute, only the sound of their own breaths filling the empty alley. Jenna felt the weight of her choice hang heavy in the air. Would they defy their fates or fall into Victor's chaos once more? The moment of truth was upon them. The tension hung thick in the air, a taut string waiting to snap. Jenna's heart raced, fear clashing with resolve. She glanced at Daniel, who stood beside her, his breath uneven yet fervent. This was it, their moment of reckoning. If they were going to confront Victor, they needed to hit hard and fast. On three, Melissa whispered, eyes locked onto the thugs prowling closer. With a fierce exhale, Jenna charged forward, wrench in hand. Daniel followed, adrenaline fueling them both. They lunged from behind the dumpster, catching the men off guard. Stay back, Jenna shouted, swinging the wrench down with all her might. Metal connected with flesh. A sickening thud filling the alley. The thug stumbled back, disbelief creeping onto his face. Daniel pushed forward, tackling the second man to the ground. They all grappled, confusion exploding into chaos. Melissa joined the fray, determined like a warrior rejoining her troops. Rachel influenced the tides of turmoil, discovering courage from depths yet unmapped. Suddenly, a booming voice ruptured from behind. What is going on here? It was Victor, charging down the alley, eyes blazing with fury. Jenna's heart sank. They hadn't finished the fight quickly enough. Run! Melissa yelled, urgency slicing through the chaos. Jenna felt the pull of fear but fought against it. They couldn't give up. They couldn't allow Victor to control their lives anymore. The fight continued as Daniel wrestled with the remaining thug while Jenna and Melissa scrambled toward the exit. The alley began to whirl with shadows, but they pushed onward, hearts pounding as they ducked beneath the bitter sting of uncertainty. Victor's threats loomed large but were hard to focus on amidst the fray. Get back! Victor's voice roared behind them, echoing with malice. The thugs scrambled to regain control, only for Jenna to grab a discarded crate, hurling it down the alley. It crashed, creating a ruckus and forcing the men to divert their attention. This way! Rachel called, already heading for another opening. Jenna and Daniel pressed on, panting heavily, but they couldn't falter now. They were so close, they had to seize their chance. As they turned the corner, they burst into a broader street. The night air filled with sounds of life, vehicles rushing, people laughing, oblivious to the chaos behind them. Jenna clutched her belly, a surge of maternal instinct flooding over her. The baby was still safe. That was all that mattered. Where do we go now? We need help, someone we can trust. She cried, desperation lacing her voice. Follow me, Melissa urged, her fierce determination shining through. Just as they veered toward an open cafe, its lights glowing like a beacon, Jenna turned back. The shadows behind them had receded, for now, but Victor's voice was unmistakably threatening. This isn't over. You can't escape what you've begun. Fear and anger coursed through Jenna as they dashed inside, slamming the door behind them. From within the cafe they could see Victor pause, rage boiling just out of their reach. There was a heavy comfort in the safety of the moment, even as doubts clung to the edges of their minds as they huddled within the dimly lit cafe. Jenna looked at her sister Rachel, who had once disappeared into the city's chaos. The reunion seemed like another lifetime. You came back for me, she whispered, realization washing over her. After everything, you still care? Rachel met her gaze, tears glimmering in the corners of her eyes. I realize family matters most. I'd do anything to protect you. And that baby. The weight of shared pain surged through them as a swift bond knitted their wounds. Daniel reached for Jenna's hand, squeezing it tight. "We'll face this together," he vowed, uncertainty framing his face but strength in how he held her. But Melissa's voice cut through the warmth. "Victor is dangerous. He's not just another threat. We're tangled in something bigger." "We'll get through this," Jenna replied, her voice fierce through the quivering threads of doubt. "I won't let him dictate our lives." And as they shared in that moment of solidarity, an unexpected sense of resolve washed over Jenna. There would be a confrontation, a reckoning. Together, she affirmed, feeling the flame of defiance ignite between them. They wouldn't just survive. They would reclaim their lives. The plan formed slowly in her mind, each piece aligning as they stood united, backs against the wall. They gather evidence, expose Victor for what he truly was, dismantle the network that had ensnared them. They would fight for freedom, not just for themselves but for the life growing inside her. "I'll call for help. We can make this right," Rachel asserted, determination glistening in her expression. "But we need to strategize first," Melissa chimed in, her voice decisive. Jenna inhaled deeply, embracing a newfound sense of courage. "We've got each other, that's a start. But we need to act quickly. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about taking back our lives." And just like that, in a little cafe filled with laughter and warmth, beneath the weight of betrayal, fear, and uncertainty they found clarity. As dawn approached, light spilling warmth across the horizon, Jenna felt the first flickers of hope bloom within her. They were stronger together. Their future was uncertain, but their resolve was unwavering. They wouldn't let Victor win. They would forge a new path, and together, they stepped into the light, ready to face whatever waited beyond. Now folks, this was a wild ride, wasn't it? If you felt the intensity of their fight, if you were on the edge of your seat, then you need to subscribe now. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm because this is the moment to show your support. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about what comes next. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your voice matters in this community. Let us keep the stories rolling.